That night I wasn't planning to watch anything scary. It was just another boring Saturday, and I had nothing to do. I sat on my bed, scrolling through random live streams, watching people sing, cook, or talk to strangers for attention. Most of it was dull background noise, something I could half watch while checking my phone. But then I clicked on one stream that looked different. The thumbnail showed a girl in her room, dimly lit with a soft orange lamp behind her. The title of the stream was nothing special, just her name, Sarah. When the screen loaded, I saw her sitting cross-legged on a chair, chatting with the small audience that had gathered. She looked around 20, maybe younger, wearing a loose hoodie, her hair a little messy, like she hadn't planned to go live but decided to anyway. Her voice was calm, sometimes breaking into nervous little laughs, and I could see she was the type of streamer who didn't put on a fake personality. She was just there being herself. At first, there was nothing unusual. She answered questions from people in the chat, talking about school, her favorite movies, even complaining about how her apartment walls were too thin and she could always hear her neighbors. It was casual, even boring, but for some reason I kept watching. Maybe it was the mood, or maybe because she seemed genuinely real compared to the fake smiles you usually see. The number of viewers hovered around 30, not many, so she noticed almost every comment. I remembered typing something silly about how quiet her place seemed, and she laughed, saying it was late and nobody ever visited her anyway. I thought it was just small talk, but then something strange happened. Behind her, just near the door, I thought I saw movement. It was fast, a quick flash of shadow crossing the frame, almost too quick to notice. I blinked, wondering if my eyes were playing tricks on me. The chat didn't mention it. Nobody else seemed to notice. So I typed, "Hey, is someone there with you?" Sarah read it out loud, paused for just a second, then smiled nervously. "No, it's just me here." "Don't worry," she said, brushing her hair back. She gave this little laugh, but it wasn't the same kind of laugh as before. This one felt forced, uneasy, like she didn't fully believe what she was saying. She moved on quickly, answering another person's comment. But I couldn't shake the feeling that she reacted a little too strongly to my question. I kept watching more carefully after that. The room looked normal, small, with posters on the wall, a desk piled with books, and a chair in the corner. But then I saw it again. The chair moved. Just a tiny shift, like someone had nudged it. Sarah didn't react. She was reading something on her phone, laughing at another comment. My chest tightened and I quickly typed, "Your chair just moved." She glanced over her shoulder, stared at it for a moment, then shrugged. "Oh, that's just my cat," she said. But there was no cat in the room. And earlier she hadn't mentioned having one. The chat exploded with laughing emojis. People teasing her, saying, "Spooky chair," or "Ghost cat." Sarah tried to play along, rolling her eyes, but I could see her swallow hard. Her eyes kept darting back to that chair even while she talked. About 10 minutes later, things got worse. I was still glued to the screen when the door behind her slowly creaked open. It wasn't dramatic, just a slow, steady movement, like someone was pushing it from the other side. I felt my heart pounding as I typed in all caps, "Your door is opening." Others in the chat noticed it too. People started spamming comments like, "Who's there?" and "This is creepy." Sarah turned around and her whole body froze when she saw it. The door was halfway open, the hallway beyond it dark as pitch. She sat there for a second too long before standing up. The camera wobbled as she carried her phone toward the door. She pushed it open wider, showing the hallway. It was empty, silent, and the kind of darkness that feels heavier than it should. She stepped back into her room and gave a shaky laugh. "See, nothing's there. Probably just the wind." She closed the door, sat back down, and tried to act normal. But I swear I saw something in that hallway just before the door shut. A figure, tall, unmoving, watching. It was only there for a second, almost like a trick of the light, but my stomach sank. I knew what I saw. Sarah didn't mention it again. She tried to keep talking, but her eyes betrayed her. She glanced at the door every minute, her fingers fidgeting, twisting the sleeve of her hoodie. The viewers had gone up to nearly 100 by then, people joining in because someone probably shared the link, saying the stream was haunted. The chat was buzzing with jokes, memes, and people begging her to do another door check. Some were convinced it was fake. Some were begging her to end the live, but she kept going. What made it worse was how the vibe in her room seemed to shift. The air looked heavier, the shadows darker. Even through a screen, I could feel something wasn't right. Sarah was smiling less now, her eyes wide, her laugh thinner, like she was only continuing because she didn't want to seem scared in front of strangers. Then she froze. She stopped mid-sentence, her head snapping toward the door. I didn't hear anything at first, but her face said it all. Something was out there. The chat lit up, everyone asking what she heard. She forced another laugh, said it was nothing, but her voice cracked. She leaned closer to the camera, whispering like she didn't want someone else to hear. I think someone's in my house. The stream went dead silent for a moment. Nobody typed. And then the chat exploded, half the people screaming at her to call the cops, the other half saying this was the best acting they'd ever seen. I just sat there, heart pounding, feeling like something really bad was about to happen. That was the moment I knew I shouldn't be watching, but I couldn't look away. Sarah's whisper still rang in my ears, the words heavy with fear, and it didn't feel like the kind of thing someone says for attention. Her voice cracked in a way you can't fake, like she was forcing herself to stay calm, but her body was betraying her. The chat went wild, a flood of caps lock messages and emojis filling the screen, half of them laughing, half of them demanding she leave the house or call the police right away. I didn't type anything at first because I couldn't pull myself away from the screen. Her eyes were fixed on the door again, that same door that had already creaked open once, and she kept leaning forward as though she was trying to hear something only she could pick up. Then there was a sound, faint but sharp, like the creak of floorboards in a hallway. My headphones picked it up clearly, and when I heard it, my stomach dropped. It wasn't feedback, it wasn't static. Someone was walking. Sarah flinched, her hand went to her mouth, and she whispered almost to herself, "That's not the neighbors." The chat kept exploding, but this time she didn't even look at it. She slowly reached for her phone, with one hand, while keeping her eyes locked on the door. Her stream camera wobbled as she tried to stand, and for a moment, all we saw was the floor. Then she steadied it and moved toward the door again, pushing it open with a shaking hand. The hallway looked darker now, the kind of dark that seemed to swallow the faint light spilling from her room. She stepped out for a second, holding her phone like a weapon, pointing the lens into the empty hall. The sound cut out for a moment, just silence, then we all heard it again. A footstep, slow, deliberate, further down the hall. Sarah spun around, pointing her camera wildly, and the chat went insane with people saying they saw something move at the edge of the frame. I thought I saw it too, just for a second. A shadow retreating around a corner, tall, thin, moving in a way that didn't seem natural. Sarah gasped, slammed the door shut, and backed up until she was pressed against the wall. Her breathing was so loud it filled the speakers. She was terrified. This wasn't some prank anymore, and I felt my own pulse quicken like I was there with her. She finally looked back at the chat, eyes wide, her face pale under the dim orange light. "What do I do?" she whispered, and those 4 words felt so real that my skin prickled. People begged her to call the police, to leave the apartment, to hide. Some were still spamming laughing emojis, but they were drowned out by the panic of the others. Sarah nodded like she was taking in the advice, but then the worst thing happened. The door handle started to turn, slowly, carefully, as though whoever was on the other side wanted to make sure she heard it. Sarah froze, clutching her phone so tight her knuckles went white. Her eyes fixed on the handle as it shook, stopped, then started to twist again. Her lips moved like she was praying under her breath, whispering words too soft for the mic to catch. The chat was going so fast it was unreadable. I sat there with my hand over my mouth, unable to move, unable to breathe. The door didn't open all the way. It just moved a crack, enough for the shadow of the hallway to spill into her room again. Sarah screamed and threw something at the door, maybe a book or something from her desk, and it slammed shut again. She rushed to push a chair under the handle, her camera bouncing around wildly as she struggled to block it. Her breathing was ragged, her voice shaking as she begged someone in the chat to stay with her. "Don't leave, please don't leave me alone," she said over and over. She sat back down, the camera stabilizing again, and I could see tears in her eyes now. She was trying to stay composed, but failing. Her hand kept running through her hair, tugging at it, her body rocking slightly, as though she was trying to calm herself. Then came the knock. Slow, heavy, 3 knocks against the wood of the door. Not frantic, not hurried, just patient. Whoever it was knew she was trapped. She covered her mouth to keep from making a sound, but we all heard the faint sob that slipped through. The knocks came again, louder this time, and then a voice, muffled but clear enough to make my blood run cold. It was a man's voice, low and steady. "I know you're in there." Sarah shook her head violently, like a child trying to pretend it wasn't happening. The chat exploded again, half the people typing "call the cops now," and the other half in total disbelief that this could be real. Sarah finally grabbed her phone and started to dial, muttering to herself, "Please pick up, please pick up." The door rattled, the knocks turned into pounding, and then the voice came again, louder this time. "Open the door, Sarah." He knew her name. I don't know if the phone connected. I couldn't hear anyone answer on the other side, but she was begging, crying, saying, "Please, someone's here. He's trying to get in." The pounding kept going, the whole door shaking in its frame. And for a moment I thought it was going to break off the hinges, right there on the live stream. Then it stopped. The silence that followed was worse than the noise. Sarah sat frozen, her phone pressed to her ear, whispering to whoever she had called. The camera was angled toward the door now, showing it standing still, the chair still wedged under the handle. Minutes passed, long enough that some people in the chat started saying it was fake again, that it was all an act. But then the sound came from somewhere else. The closet. It was a soft creak at first, like the sound of hinges moving slowly. Then the distinct noise of wood shifting. Sarah's head snapped toward the closet in the corner of her room, the one she had barely noticed all night. The door was opening inch by inch. Then she wasn't looking at the stream anymore. She was staring at the dark gap widening inside her own room. The lamplight didn't reach far into that closet, and what we saw was just a sliver of black. But I swear to God I saw something in there. Eyes pale, glinting eyes staring out at her. Sarah screamed again, the loudest yet, and the stream jolted as she scrambled to her feet. The phone dropped, the screen spinning sideways until all we could see was the floor and the shadow of her legs as she backed away from the closet. The chat went wild, but then, through the mic, came a sound that made me feel sick. Breathing, heavy, wet breathing too close to the phone. Someone was in that closet, and then the stream cut to black. Then the screen went black. I stared at it for a long time, hoping it was just lag, or maybe her phone had died, but the stream didn't come back. The chat slowed down as people realized nothing was happening, then exploded again with panic, confusion, accusations of faking, arguments, and desperate pleas for her to turn the camera back on. Some said they were calling the police, others claimed they already had. My hands hovered over my keyboard, but I didn't type a word. I just sat there with my heart racing, replaying the sound of that breathing in my head. It hadn't been hers. It was too close to the mic, too loud, too deliberate. Whoever had been inside that closet wanted us all to hear them. The stream finally ended on its own, and her account went offline. I couldn't sleep after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that closet door inching open, those faint eyes staring out, the look of pure terror on Sarah's face. By morning, I convinced myself I'd imagined parts of it. Maybe the eyes were just a reflection. Maybe the breathing was some weird echo. Maybe the whole thing had been staged for attention. That's what a lot of people in forums were saying when I checked the next day. The clips had already spread online, uploaded by viewers who'd recorded the whole thing. Titles like "Girl Stalked on Livestream" and proof of break-in caught live were all over the place. People slowed down frames, circled shadows, enhanced the audio. The more I watched, the less I could deny what I'd seen. Something was in that room with her. By the second day, police reports started to surface. Someone posted screenshots claiming they'd filed a welfare check request with the local department. Hours later, another update. The police had gone to her apartment, but she wasn't there. Her door was locked from the inside, her chair still wedged under the handle. No sign of forced entry. Her phone was found smashed near the closet. But Sarah was gone, vanished. The authorities gave no details beyond that, but the rumors spread faster than anything official. Some said she'd been abducted. Others claimed it was a hoax, and she'd gone into hiding to avoid consequences. A few darker theories suggested she'd never been real at all, that the whole account had been fabricated to bait viewers into witnessing something staged. I didn't buy that. The fear on her face had been too raw. For days I kept checking, refreshing, hoping she would post. Go live again, anything. The account stayed inactive. Then one night, about a week later, I got a notification that froze my blood. Her account was live. The title was blank, just the default live stream. I hesitated, staring at my screen, then clicked. What came up was not what I expected. The camera was tilted at a strange angle, showing only part of a room I didn't recognize. The walls were bare concrete, the lighting dim and yellow, like it was coming from a single bulb. For a long time, nothing moved. Thousands of people flooded the chat instantly, all of us demanding to know where she was. If she was safe, who was streaming this? Then, faintly, there was movement. A figure stepped into frame. At first, I thought it was Sarah. The shape was similar. Long hair, slight build. But as it came closer, I realized the movements were wrong. Too stiff, too slow. As though whoever it was had never quite learned how to walk properly. They stood just at the edge of the camera's view, their face shrouded in shadow, head tilted slightly as if they were listening. The chat exploded again, people begging them to show themselves, to explain what had happened. The figure just stood there, swaying gently from side to side, the sound of their breathing filling the speakers again. That same heavy, wet sound, and then a voice. Not Sarah's, a man's, deep, calm, and horribly clear. She let me in. That's all he said, before the screen glitched and cut to black again. I sat there shaking, my hands cold on the keyboard. The chat was still going insane, theories flying everywhere. But all I could hear was that voice. She let me in. What did that mean? Did Sarah know him? Did she open the closet? Or had she somehow invited something worse? The streams kept appearing after that. Always unannounced, always on her account. Sometimes it was just a few seconds of darkness. Sometimes a glimpse of that same concrete room. Once, for less than a minute, the camera showed what looked like Sarah sitting on the floor. Her hair covering her face, her body unnaturally still. People spammed her name in the chat, begged her to respond. But she didn't move until the very end. Just before the feed cut out, her head lifted slightly and we saw her eyes. They weren't the same. They looked pale, almost cloudy, as though she wasn't really looking at us anymore. After that, I stopped watching for a while. It was too much, too real, and I couldn't shake the feeling that watching made me part of it. Like whoever had taken her wanted an audience, wanted us to see what they were doing, but curiosity eats away at you. A month later, I gave in and clicked again when the account went live. What I saw still keeps me awake. The camera was angled low this time, pointing at the floor of the same concrete room. There were marks on the ground, dark stains that looked too much like blood to be anything else. And then, just out of sight, a voice whispered directly into the mic. She's not the only one. The feed cut again, but that was enough. I slammed my laptop shut, heart hammering, convinced for a moment that whoever it was could see me too. Since then, the streams appear less often, but the account is still active. Every time it goes live, thousands of people join, desperate to know the truth. desperate to see what happened to Sarah, but no answers come. Only fragments, shadows, sounds that shouldn't be possible. And every time I tell myself I won't watch again, that I'll finally look away, some part of me still clicks, because I need to know. We all need to know. The worst part isn't that Sarah is gone, or that something unspeakable happened on a live stream we all witnessed. The worst part is what the voice said that last time. She's not the only one. I can't shake the fear that one day, when I least expect it, I'll be the one streaming, and I'll hear my own closet door creak open.